Hey guys, huge news. Huge news. Um, so as we said in our last video, we were going to keep following the UPS situation, especially when it came to drivers and what was going to happen to you guys. So I just did some digging. I found a great Bloomberg interview with the CEO of TFI, and I think it's going to make some really big differences for you. So let's get right into it. It's going to do a quick intro, and then we'll go. So, like I said, UPS getting some big news in. There's TFI's CEO came on, and this looks really good for you guys. I just wanted to do something really fast and let you know. So, the video is from Bloomberg Markets, and just wanted to kind of go over this. Like I said, I'm not in studio. I'm doing this live from home really quickly. Let's just watch this. Let's just get right into it, and we'll discuss it as we go.
Canadian trucking player TFI International is making an acquisition of UPS's freight business. It's an $800 million deal that comes with $3 billion in new revenue that analysts think TFI can make more profitable. Alain Bédard is the CEO of TFI. Thank you for being with us, sir. Appreciate your time today.
Well, thank you for having me.
So it is, we can see your stock has taken off today. Obviously, this increases your footprint in the U.S. Pretty materially. So let's just start with how your world changes. You've run your Canadian operations with a fairly tight, as a tight ship. The U.S. operations here are quite different. How will you assimilate them?
Well, you know what? If you look at history, I mean, TFI has a proven track record of doing M&A at a very reasonable and attractive price. And once we take over the company, we have a kind of recipe for success. And, our goal is really to work with the management team there at what it is called today UPS Freight to really turn this thing around, okay? Because right now the profitability is like a break-even point. And we know that we could do better than that.
About
But don't
2%.
forget, this was part of the big umbrella of UPS. And $3 billion for UPS is like small pocket change for them. So the level of attention was not really there for UPS. This is a great company. They run a fantastic company. The LTL business was small, and there was not a big focus of ours. But for us, really, this is going to be a very important focus of ours, and we will be investing capital. We will be investing in people, and for sure, we're convinced that this is going to be a huge success for us.
And it does seem as though the market likes what it's hearing from you, Alain. And I think partly that's because of your track record, your operational track record, and your ability to acquire things. But you will, in the short term, see revenue from this acquisition drop. You've been clear about that. There will be some divestitures that happen. And you'll go through this process of streamlining and cost cutting, and that can come with cost too. What's your timeline for delivering better margins, better profit for this particular part of the business?
Yeah, it's a big file for us, and we're going to work step by step. So, the first step that we're going to take is really invest in capital. Okay, right now we have to do some major investment in the fleet to have, up-to-date trucks and with all the safety features. So that will reduce our costs. That will also improve the experience of our driver. Okay, which is important. Think about that today. Right now, we have some drivers that are running with a 2008 trucks. I mean, we're in 2021. So the first step that we're going to do is really that. The other very important thing is that sometimes, and it's the same story as when we bought CFI a few years ago, is you have freight that...
Well, let's just pause there for just 1 second here. Basically, what he just said is they're investing. They're going to be investing in the UPS freight side. That's really good for drivers. Like you said, some of the drivers are in 2008 trucks. I didn't even know that until just now. That's not okay. And so investing in that capital, it looks like they're really going to be making some moves. And he's mentioning CFI right now. I actually have talked with drivers for Transport America, CFI, And the way that those companies treat their drivers in terms of safety, performance, their trucks, everything is really good. So it's nice to see this going into the UPS side. I feel like if it's anything like the acquisition of CFI, it's going to be good. So let's just continue on here.
Doesn't fit the company, and this is always a major issue. And that's going to be also the second very important thing that we're going to start looking at is that is there any freight that doesn't fit, okay, the company today? And then once we establish that, because we also have a logistics company in the US that we bought just a few months ago, then we'll have our logistics people look at this freight. And if it doesn't fit our LTL company, maybe it can fit our logistics company. So it's going to be a very interesting process that we're going to have all of our team involved, our Canadian team working with the US team, working with our logistics team. So it's really a fantastic challenge for all the people, including the one that are part of the UPS Freight team today.
One of the interesting trends or developments in your industry in recent years has been Amazon dipping its toe into the logistics freight part of the business, ending long-standing relationships with some of the biggest delivery companies. How does it play or factor into your future? Do you worry about Amazon taking over more of the market, or is that just a small piece of it?
That's a very good question. I mean, we've lived through this experience with Amazon. Okay, Amazon is still a customer of ours in Canada and in the US to a certain extent, but we put a cap on the company because, like you just said, I mean, what they do is once they have the density, they just said, we'll take it home and we'll do it ourselves. Now, in terms of globally, for our LTL, it's a side effect because what's going on is because of COVID and because of all the changes, what we're seeing is the brick and mortar guys that are being serviced by the LTL, both Canada and the US, are losing market share to the e-commerce, which benefit Amazon, like you just explained. But what we have to say, though, is that we have a competing product, us, within our business, which is called our package and courier business that we do in Canada, and also our last mile business that we cover both US and Canada. So we are competing with Amazon with a solution that is second to none, very efficient, lean and mean. And you'll see when you take a look at our Q4 numbers, we have a lot of organic growth in that sector.
They absolutely do. Like the organic growth that they have right now is insane. And so if it keeps moving up at that rate, I imagine that their drivers are going to be busier, their freight lines are going to be busier, they're going to be moving more, and that can only be better things for drivers.
So LTL in the US, it's a little bit different than in Canada. In Canada, most of our business is still in the retail sector. Industrial has like disappeared of Canada. In the US, it's a little bit different. They still have industrial customer base there in the LTL, and this is what we're going to be focusing on, trying to grow our industrial-based customer, okay, and not maybe not so focused on the retail business in the US because they are at risk of the e-commerce growing.
Alain, how has COVID or how is COVID affecting your business right now? How hard is it to do business? And I think particularly with the U.S. or cross-border aspect.
Yes, I mean, it's been quite a challenge. I mean, this started in March, and the first focus of ours was safety for our employees, safety for our customers. And at first we didn't really understand what this was all about. Okay, this virus. It was quite a surprise that it would be so difficult to deal with. So the first focus we had was, hey, let's make sure that all our employees, because we are an essential service. I mean, our dock workers.
That is absolutely true. And we're going to be getting into that in our next episode of CenterMass TV, our next real episode. We're going to be talking about the vaccine stage 2, how they're not really addressing drivers in the right way. They're not even considering drivers to be essential workers right now. And so because of those things, drivers are really struggling to get the vaccines that they need. And honestly, our country should be moving towards that direction. Hopefully those changes will happen. Hopefully drivers can be reclassified into that essential worker category because, like Mr. Bernard said right here, it's You guys are essential. You absolutely are. And the fact that a CEO feels like your workers are essential, he feels like you guys are what they are. That's really important. That's a really good outlook for your future.
Our truck drivers are delivering freight every day. We have to protect those guys, and we took measures to protect them. And then, I mean, with the shutdown and the lockdown, both in the U.S. and in Canada, it really affected us big time. You know, during the course of Q2, Q3, and not so much Q4. We're basically back to a more some kind of a normal environment in Q4. But it's been quite a challenge for our people. You know, some of our sector, like our package and our logistics and last mile, have been very, very affected positively because of huge volume coming in. Our LTL, like I was explaining earlier, because of the shutdown, okay, the lockdown that took place in Quebec and in Ontario and all across Canada. I mean, our LTL was affected. Our truckload also was affected. You know, when they shut down the mines, our specialty truckload has been affected. But, you know, if you look at our Q3 numbers, okay, finally things are starting to get a little bit better. Once we announce our Q4 on February the 8th, you'll see that, you know, we're starting to gain some momentum. And we believe that, you know, once this vaccine is more, you know, we vaccinate more of the population in North America, I mean, we're going to go back to a new normal, because the normal that we used to know pre-COVID is not going to be the same as the normal after. Okay, so for sure, e-commerce will keep on growing. You know, you got all kinds of customers that will change their habits for good. Some will go back to the old way of doing things, but we know that some will just stick with, oh, that's the best way. I don't have to go to the store. I just order it online and it's going to come anyway. You know, so it's going to be a new normal, but TFI is so well organized, and so because of our coverage of the market, for us, it's going to be a win-win. We may lose here, but we will gain so much over there. It's just like a trade-off, and that's why TFI is so well positioned for the future.
Well, the market certainly agrees with you today, Alain. We appreciate your time today. It's great.
Well, that's basically the end here, and wow, that's awesome. I mean, that truly is awesome news for drivers. It's nice to see a CEO like Lane just sitting there talking about drivers and being a driver-centric company. And when you look at the other brands underneath the TFI name, you look at Transport America, you look at CFI, they do have a track record of treating their drivers with such care, and they do a really, really amazing job at it. And so this is really good to see. Really fantastic news for UPS drivers. I would love to hear more from you, obviously, to kind of see what your end looks like, because we don't want to just sit there and just depend on a CEO's outlook on it. I would love to hear the driver's outlook on these things. Our previous video, we got a little bit of action on that end. Some drivers weren't really sure what was going to happen, and so I wanted to share this in case you hadn't seen it. And let's move forward. But like I said, next episode we're going to be covering the vaccines. We're going to continue to cover the UPS situation as it develops, as it moves forward, as TFI starts letting out more information on what's going to happen, as we start hearing from the unions for UPS. And we just look forward to seeing this going much smoother than some of the other acquisitions that have happened in the past year. But that's all I've really got for you today. Thanks for joining in. I'm Jake Seek from CenterMass TV. Keep all 18 on the road.